Welcome to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, the daily talk show with the voice of Penn State football and men's basketball. You never know what special guest may stop on by any given day. Now here's the man of the hour, Mr. Steve Jones.
A pleasure to be with you. It's a day where the Penn State football coaching staff in mass will meet with the media today. It's going to be a session that's going to take about 2 to 3 hours when it's all said and done.
It's going to be a lot of Matt Campbell and his crew talking with everybody. The first real chance everyone's got to talk with everybody.
Well, I think it's the first chance they've had to talk to anybody except for Matt. Mm-hmm. Because, there's been an interview here or there. LeVar Arrington said a couple at Roar Plus. But, for example, Dan Lynn hasn't talked to anybody. I guess he did talk to LeVar. But
there's been only so many interviews in total.
I mean, Mouse did one.
But everyone today gets to
Lynn
hear from.
Did. They hear everybody, including Terry Smith, by the way.
Yeah.
Including Terry Smith.
You'll hear from Terry Smith. You'll hear from Noah Pauley. You'll hear from everyone.
And I think the interesting one beyond all of them is going to be Derek Hoosier.
Why is that, Steve?
He's
Jones?
the GM. So you're talking about in a span of a month, and especially in that span of 16 days, all the contracts he had to put together and the balancing act of money, because it was one after another. The NFL free agency will be coming up after the combine, and there'll be a flurry of, you sign a guy here, you sign a guy there, but not going out and signing 40 guys.
And not just 40 guys, it's also he has to understand the numbers that are in the building.
Right.
And some people are going to try and as we've seen, players are going to come up, they're going to say, I would like more, or I'd like this, or I'd like that. Things change numerically within the roster you have.
Sure, that's
you
right.
come into the building, you got to learn those numbers and then add to it versus someone who is already here who just says, oh, well, I know we have X amount left over. So then we can, as you said, pick and match where we want. He's got to get everything, basically.
That's why I think he's the most fascinating guy in the moment. The other guys will ascend once the coaching part, they're already doing coaching now, but, actually get them on the field in the spring and the teaching part and the install part. Now they become the ones that are fascinating to talk to. Because right now they can do things in generalities. Dan Lynn can give you a feeling as to what he thinks of Tony Rojas. Well, now actually physically being out there and seeing what Tony can and can't do, really important. You probably won't get a read on that until maybe the summertime.
Yeah, there's time.
All right, but I'm just using Tony as an example. What can the Davian Collins do? How can I use him? How can I use Zion Tracy?
How can I use a Kobe Howard on offense?
All right. Well, I was using just Dan's side of the ball for the moment.
Yeah.
That how am I going to be able to utilize those guys? Taylor Mauser on the other side understands what Ben Bramer can do. He understands what the other tight ends can do, except for Andrew Rapplier and Brian Kordovich and Finn Furmanek. They've seen video. They've talked to them. But now it's how do they fit as to what I do, and how can I make them better by making them a better fit.
Yeah.
Right? That's why Derek Hoosier's the fascinating guy today after Matt.
He's got everything in his head.
He is the one that had to put the pieces of the financial puzzle together along with the acquisition of talent. So at this moment, to me, he's the fascinating one to listen to. After Matt, the other guys are all going to be interesting because they're new. That's fresh eyes being brought to the table here, which is really important. But the puzzle of how to do this is very, very interesting. Savon Huggins comes in. He's here now as the running back coach. So even though Mouse knows Hansen, right, Hug doesn't really know Hansen that well, just like he doesn't know Quentin Martin all that well, or Cam Wallace. Yeah. So this is a fascinating time. I also think this is an energizing, fun time for me because I really think that they've got a chance to do something terrific here, and they've got the personalities that I think the fan base is going to really enjoy it. Now, look, they haven't lost a game yet.
Yeah.
They haven't lost a game yet. They haven't made a fourth down call that didn't work. All that stuff. Mm-hmm. So right now, everything is great. I just think moving forward, this 8-year contract that Matt has is going to pay incredible dividends for Penn State because I think the guy can just flat out coach ball.
And some players they've added today with the portal that we know as of right now, the names that are out there that Penn State football has announced they have signed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've announced them.
They've announced a few. Offensive lineman Pete Egladis from Columbus, Ohio. Mm-hmm. You have defensive lineman Elijah Reeder from Bayville, New Jersey, who I believe is their, I guess, their highest ranked recruit, I believe, in this class coming on in. You've got Lucas Tenbrock from St. Charles, Illinois, who is, I believe, one of the top punters in the nation.
Yep.
And then linebacker Kian Kaiser from Sidney, Nebraska. Mm-hmm. So those are the 4 they've announced as of 11:11 a.m.
Well, this used to be
the day. This was the big one because everyone would wait until today for the huge guys.
The day. And for years with Joe, they would put out nothing. Mm-hmm. Joe always felt that you should earn your spot. Joe always felt that, and freshmen were not allowed to talk to the media because Joe felt that once you get to be a sophomore and you've done something, you can talk to the media. And I remember the first freshman he ever allowed to talk to the media was quarterback Tony Sacca because he was the starting quarterback at the time. He had to bring him out. Mm-hmm. But it took a long time to do that. It wasn't like the opening game, hey, here's Tony. No, it was, I think, in November, late October, early November, they finally brought him out. Then it became a big deal that Joe put out a fax, right? Or Athletics put out a fax. Joe said, go ahead, you can put out the fax. It had the names on it. Ding, 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 ding. And, okay. And every year, he would let me interview him. And I always opened up the same way. General question. I have a list of names here for you. Said, they haven't done anything for you yet, but when you see that list of names, what do you see in the potential of the group moving forward that they will then have the time to fulfill? Now I just let him just talk. Mm-hmm. But that's how we did the interview every year. And he would say, yeah, I'll do the interview with Steve. Right? Mm-hmm. Okay, we'll do it. Now, Bill O'Brien, more open approach, and James Franklin turned it into a celebration, which I thought was cool and fun because the way James did it, the way Joe did it fit the era. Right? It fit the era. You had to earn things along the way. But James' approach, I thought, was terrific in that, and it's the early signing period where really, when they finally got that going. But, on that first Wednesday in February, you do the late one when that was the only one. And he turned it into a celebration because for each one of these young people, whether they're transferring in or whether they're signing on the dotted line, this is one of the biggest decisions of their life that has the potential to set them up for the rest of their life. So I understood James' approach perfectly in that, hey, let's celebrate you coming here. It's a big deal for you. It's a big deal for the program. We're going to make a big deal out of it. And I think that's fine. In today's world, I think that's great. We'll see what they want to do with the early signing period next year because Matt didn't sign his contract with Penn State until after the early signing period was over with.
Yeah.
Well, the early signing period had come and gone. I mean, it was still active, but so there's no idea as to how he wants to approach it. I guess I'd have to call Iowa State to see what he wanted to do. But does he want to do the big celebration? Does he want to keep it subtle? I mean, that's something that we will find out in December what their approach happens to be. This has been a whirlwind, and I'm sure Matt will use that term today. It's been a whirlwind of every day. Okay, hosting people, getting people, portal people, right? Recruits going out on the road, and it's been a whirlwind.
He hasn't had a second to coach.
And no, unfortunately, there hasn't been a need to coach right now. And then, oh, by the way, we'd like you to wave hi to everybody at the wrestling dual meet on Friday night. It's got 13,000 plus Penn State fans in there. Oh, and by the way, we'd like you to drop the puck before 75,000 fans at Beaver Stadium. So he's done all of that on top of talent acquisition and trying to take care of the people in the building. Taking care of the people in the building should not be lost in all of this, because we're getting all these fresh names that are coming in. Fresh faces, intriguing names. What can they do? What can Rocco Beck do? Okay, how long might it take for a guy like Falzone to compete and so forth? I mean, intriguing. But let's not forget the importance of the people that are already in the building. I mentioned Davian Collins. I mentioned Tony Rojas. I mentioned Zion Tracy, Andrew Rapplier. I mentioned Brian Kordovich, Finn Furman, and Quentin Martin. Those are names that have been here. Anthony Donko, Cooper Cousins. We can go through. These are all going to be important players moving forward for Penn State. Darius Dixon, who I think has a chance to be one of the top corners in the Big Ten. These are all players that are already there that in the world of, wow, okay, they brought this guy in and that guy in. How do they fit? What are they going to do? Don't forget about the players that are already there, because those players that are already there are critical to the foundation of what 2026 and beyond will look like at Penn State.
That they are. And we're going to go through the whole roster and talk about the players. And we're going to get your behind-the-scenes view of the players and thoughts and everything as we get closer towards the rest of the season, as we move forward throughout football, of course, because this is the late signing period. But then, of course, there's college basketball going on. You're going off later, flying on over to Ann Arbor. You have to go back to the north for more cold weather.
Yes, I spoke to a classroom at Bellefonte High School today for career day. And oddly enough, there were no questions about Jerry Valeri.
Surprised. Any about Jason Lord?
No.
Got it.
But I was talking to them about, the job, what you do, and so forth. And I explained last week how I had to go to Columbus and kind of fought our way through the snow. And then I was back only one day, and then I flew out to Northwestern. I said, but it allows you, if you do it right, to do things by observation and relate things to people that maybe they didn't know because of the timing of a trip. I was talking about how going last year in Los Angeles and how the Clippers were all over Yannick Conan Niederhauser when Penn State went over to work out at the Intuit Dome. I said, so when it came time for the draft, who did I say was going to draft him?
The Clippers.
Because, just through observation and being there. The stadium at Northwestern, well, they're going to play now that Friday night game there. Well, I just saw the stadium Thursday night, as did you.
Yeah.
It's not close to being done.
No.
That's why they're going to play the first two games at the soccer field out by the lake, Colorado State and South Dakota State, because they're hoping to have that stadium done by mid-September and then have a soft opening and have people come in and see it. But as of today,
it's not done. It ain't close.
No, Penn State's not playing this week against them. They're playing on October 2nd on a Friday night.
8 months from now.
Right. So that gives them time to catch up, because right now they are behind. And you saw it. I mean, they've done a lot of tremendous work.
They've clearly they're clearly in the middle of it.
They've got a tremendous amount done, but also it is not even remotely close to being done, because you and I saw it with our own eyes. And that's what I was trying to tell them. I said, you don't just go on road trips. You make sure that you're using your eyes and your ears the entire time to pick up on things. Were you the one that did the Big Ten tournament out at the Target Center? Was that you? Yes. So remember when we were out there, we took the train because it turned out normally we stay downtown.
And we took it in from right near Minnesota's campus.
Yeah, we stayed at that courtyard and we took the train in. Well, we were going by U.S. Bank Stadium, right by it. And you and I and Dick Girardi were kidding around. That's the day they signed Sam Darnold, that day. Yeah. And I think I looked at you and I said, hey, check out the line for new season ticket holders. And you looked at me and said, well, there's nobody there. I said, exactly. Right? Now they badly want him back.
Yes.
But that's when you're traveling around. And look, you and I have been stuck in airports together, so we know it's not, the quote, the glamour of the road. Because I was explaining to them, I'm going to be in Michigan tonight, do the game tomorrow, come back Friday. So, but then I've got a game Sunday with USC, and then on Tuesday night I got to fly to Seattle. I got a game Wednesday, then Thursday drive down to Eugene, do a game Saturday, go back to Seattle, come back. They're like this. I said, that's just 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But being there, I said, it's so important to be there, to be present. I said try not. I said, if it's possible to have a job that allows you to be places, especially in sports, you can't just sit in a studio and do the job. Yeah, you can do a great job of breaking down tape. There's no question about that. A lot of people do a great job of breaking down tape.
Oh, yeah.
But there are a lot of people in these jobs that don't break down tape. If you can actually be there and see it with your own eyes, and then maybe later look back at tape and have it confirm or deny what you're seeing, yeah. Because, look, I mean, even during the game, you look at tape. Let's take the flagrant that was called in the game on Sunday. There were replay calls, and pretty much all went Penn State's way on Sunday. One was the out-of-bounds play where Mingo's laying out of bounds. Asama hits it, goes to Mingo. Mingo's out of bounds. Well, they go to review it, and I had said to Dick, I said, the only thing I can think of is Asama's foot on the baseline. And the replay we got showed nothing, but evidently they saw his foot was on the baseline. Okay. The goaltending call. You could see, we had to look at the replay. Live, we didn't think it was goaltending. We looked at the replay, it definitely wasn't goaltending. The ball was like, he kind of pushed a line drive up. It wasn't one of those arcing shots where it's really easy to make the call. No. But like the flagrant, Penn State caught a break on that because it's subjective. And I think I said to you earlier in the week that if, and again, this is the use of video during the game. I'm talking about the use of video during the game. We saw it live. We know he got hit. But that's all we know is he got hit. So now we're watching it, and there's no doubt Dom Stewart fouls him. There's no question about that. And then Tyson flails his hand out, and he whacks him right in the face. But is that a flagrant foul? It's like with targeting. If they had said that's no call, I'd have been fine with it. Right? And if they said it was a flagrant one, I'm fine with it because it's subjective. I don't know. Yeah. But that's the use of video.
Can I give you a piece? You mentioned the idea of being present and watching and paying attention.
Yeah.
The player who I've been most impressed with from this season and the past seasons of watching in person has been Keaton Wagler from Illinois. We got to see him. They came on in
for the
Palestra game. Freshman for Illinois.
Yeah.
He came in.
He had 46 the other day, and then he followed up at another big game. I think he averaged 30-something points, 36 points for the week.
And that was my point. Is like you could see he was really good, and he didn't play too much. He played 20 minutes against Penn State because he had foul trouble. But then he's a freshman. But then you see him, and I was watching that Purdue game, and I was like, he doesn't look like he's phased. He doesn't look like he's freaking out. No. Like he's just rolling in, doing his thing, playing the game, and trying to win. He's not trying to run up his number. He's not trying to do this, do that. He's just playing, and he's a heck of a ball player. And so there's a piece of just like, in this job, film is one thing, but then also it's the literal eye test of like seeing someone and saying, what do I see out of them? Like when we saw Ivan Juric against Northwestern, like he may have been sick towards the end of the game. That first half, oh my God. Like he was figuring it out and it looked incredible. And there's something to that of just like you can see when there's a different level to a player. Like I have not been lucky enough to go and see LeBron or Steph in person in basketball, but I've been able to see Carmelo Anthony, and you could see it with him where it was just like it doesn't look like he's trying to play, and he's putting up 35 against the Bucks in his debut. Like it just there's levels, and you can see that in person. So
I'll give you a great example. Gavin McKenna. I mean, people early in the season were like, well, I don't see him being the first overall pick. I look at them like, what are you talking about? Well, he's not scoring a lot of goals. And I looked at it, I said, I think you watch him play a couple of games. I said, because when I go there and see him play, and I'm not just talking about TV, when you actually go there and see him play, he sees things. I always talk about the chessboard. Tom Brady always knew where the other 21 chess pieces were. Peyton Manning, other 21 chess pieces. Like, I look at Sam Darnold, Drake May, probably between the two of them, one probably knows where 14 or 15 of the chess pieces are. The other one may know where 17 of them are. Okay? Just, because they're not Brady and Manning. It's they're not expected to be either. You're supposed to be you. McKenna knows where the other 11 chess pieces are on the ice. And you can see it. You can see how he plays. He's got that extra sense that it's like the wind, right? You can't see it, but you can feel it. And you watch him, he's got a feel for it that's just different than everybody else that makes him the first overall pick in the draft. And but you have to physically be there to see that. And that's something that through TV, through AI, I hope we never lose that. The ability to actually physically be there and with your own eyes pick up on. That's a little bit different. It's a little bit special. And
it's sometimes the simple things. It's just how do they position their bodies? It's how do they time things? How do they move? How do they do this and that? It's like you can just sometimes see it.
He gets to the top of the circle, and he's orchestrating everything around him, and everybody else knows he is. The other 11 know he is. Not just your guys knowing he's doing it. The other guys know he's doing it as well. And that's what makes him special. Because, I mean, he started playing here when he was 17 years old. He's 18 years old now. Right? That's it. That's all he is 18. And you can see why they think but you have to go actually watch him play. And look, every game is different. We know that. But watch how he plays the game, that extra sense. Like I said, second practice with Saquon Barkley. Second practice. Jack calls me up. He says, hey, I'm coming in this weekend. He says, Steve, he says, give me an idea who's the first couple guys I should watch for. I said, well, you got to watch this Barkley kid. This is unbelievable. It's just a different type of player, a different level of guy, different vision of guy. You can see guys who have vision, who has footwork, who understands, like an offensive lineman. What's your footwork like? I always look at what's the footwork, how do they use their hands and the extension of their arms. Right? Those are things that you look for when you're out there. And that extra sense. There's certain guys that will play the safety spot that have a sense as to how to play it that's just a little bit different than everybody else. KJ Winston had that sense when he was here. That's why I think he'll be fine in the NFL. Now that he's completely recovered physically, I think he's going to be fine in the NFL because he had that extra sense as to how to play.
Speaking of NFL, Steve Jones. Coming up this Sunday, Seattle Seahawks, New England Patriots at 6:30 p.m. on NBC and Peacock at Levi Stadium over in Santa Clara, California. Let's talk through, before we get to predictions, both sides. We'll start in the East. We'll start in our home region. We're both from Connecticut, so we're near the New England Patriots. Give me your sense on the Pats going into this game. Of course, the big pieces, Vrabel coaching, Josh McDaniels back again as an offensive coordinator. You've got Drake May, the young kid. You've got these receivers with Stephon Diggs. You have the defense. You've got Travion Henderson at running back. Give me your sense on the Pats heading into the big one.
First of all, they've drafted well. And I think all their draft picks from the last 2 years are on the roster and they're playing. That's pretty impressive. I know a lot of people will put a lot on Drake May, and justifiably he's the quarterback, and he had a really good year. I feel like the MVP of the Patriots offensively over the last 6 to 7 weeks of the season, including the playoffs, has been Stevenson, the running back.
Ramondre Stevenson.
I mean, Stevenson has played really well. He's run hard. He's caught the ball. He's done some good things for them. He's made big runs when they've needed him to make big runs. And big runs, I don't mean just touchdowns, but first down plays. In a lot of ways, if you talk to the Patriots people, Bob Sochi being one of them, who's their play-by-play guy, they feel like they'll down the stretch of the season, Stevenson actually has been the offensive MVP. Diggs has been essentially shut down in the playoffs. They've hit him a few passes here and there, but part of that's Drake May. Drake May has not had a great throwing postseason. He's run the ball well, but he hasn't had a great throwing postseason. The Patriots' defense has been swarming. The Patriots' defense has imposed its will against both Houston and against Denver.
And the Chargers.
And the Chargers as well. They've shut down everybody. And I think for them to win the game, they've got to keep the game. I think they've got to keep the game below 24. They've got to keep the game below 24. In fact, I think they probably have to keep the game under 20 to win the game.
They, so far this postseason, they've given up a total of 26 points amongst the three games. They're averaging about 9 points given up a game.
I think they have to keep the game below 20 to win.
And they're taking on the Seattle Seahawks. Coming into this game, of course, the big notes. Sam Darnold, we've talked about him quite a bit. You have the, second-year head coach now in Mike McDonald.
Good coach.
You've got
good defensive mind. He's been in Beaver Stadium. He was with Michigan.
Yeah, and you've got the receiving core with Cooper Kupp and Jackson Smith and Jigba, who has just been electric this season to watch. And the defense you mentioned, they've been, stout is putting it mildly.
Yeah.
They beat down the Niners. Of course, Rashid Shaheed kicked that game off with a kickoff return touchdown, and then they beat the Rams in a close one. They always play them close, and they rock up against the Patriots here out west in the West Coast. They may have a crowd advantage, but I wouldn't say it's that big because the Super Bowl is always the weird one where you've got each set of fans gets a certain number of tickets, but there's a lot of corporate tickets in there where it's a lot of neutral fans.
Every team gets tickets.
Exactly.
All 32.
Yeah. So it is kind of a mixed bag of who attends. So the Seahawks in this one, what can you tell me?
Well, the Darnold thing is the key because he has been the best quarterback in the postseason. All right. Even better than Matthew Stafford. He's, and the key for Darnold is he has stayed away from the big mistake. Now, is this the time against that really, really good Patriots defense that he makes a big mistake? Because he has had a tendency. Remember, why isn't he a Minnesota Viking right now? Because they drafted J.J. McCarthy in the first round. He was supposed to be a bridge guy to get to McCarthy. You think about the last 2 games he played for Minnesota last year. We could talk about, hey, they won 14 games. They won 14 games with Minnesota. So that's great until you get to the last 2 games. The game against Detroit with a chance to win the division, he had a bad night. And they then fell to being a 5 seed instead of getting a first-round bye, which meant they then had to play the Rams, and that was the game in Glendale because of the fires in Los Angeles. So they played in Glendale, and he had another bad game. And he had developed a reputation until he got to, I think it was the last regular season game.
I believe so.
Where they won it, which allowed them to win the division and be the number 1 seed. And he played well in that game. Like, hey, Sam Darnold finally got it off. And there was a game, was it the Thursday night game with the Rams, where he drove them downfield and they were able to, he threw a touchdown pass to like the 3rd tight end to win the game. And like 38-37. So he's played really well this season. And so the griping in Minnesota is we should have kept him. But you think back on the last 2 games of last season, the fan base was ready to move on from him because despite winning 14 games, the 2 biggest games of the year were Detroit to win the division, and he didn't play well at all, and the Rams in the playoff game where I think he turned it over 5 times. So now he goes with a fresh start with Seattle because Minnesota did make an offer to him. Like, it wasn't that Minnesota just cut bait and just moved on to McCarthy. They made an offer to keep him. And he's been the best quarterback in this particular postseason to this point. But it still has to be in the back of everybody's mind that he gets into a game like this. Will he perform well in a game like this? So far in the playoffs, he has performed really well. He's fought off an injury, and he's performed extremely well for them. Walker's a big key for him at running back. You need your running game in a game like this. Jackson Smith and Jigba is exactly what I thought he'd be in the league because, look, I saw him at Ohio State. Like, this guy can play. And Cooper Kupp is a pro's pro. And same story with Seattle. Can the Seattle defense keep the Patriots under 20? They keep the Patriots under 20. They've got a great shot of winning this because Seattle has enough offense to overcome that. The question is, do the Patriots have enough offense? And that's why the Patriots need to keep the score down in the game.
And where I am intrigued most here is, and I mentioned it this past week, or past 2 weeks ago with the championship games, is if I am looking at one piece of the field that you kind of can't predict, it is special teams. Special teams matter more than people truly realize they do. Because, of course, that means kicking field goals.
Well, Seattle won a game this year with 6 field goals.
They did. They won the game with field goals. Their kickers are about the same in terms of numbers. Borregales is sitting on about 85% for the season, and I believe so far for the season, if I can pull it on up, kicking for Seattle is Myers. He's about 85%.
But there's another element here. Okay, both of them spend almost the vast majority of their time kicking on artificial surfaces. This will be a grass surface, and not only is it a grass surface, it is not the field that the 49ers play on. They have grown this field specifically. They have put it in specifically for this game, and it's going to be interesting to see. Sometimes they throw it in there, and it's slick. Right? So they're going to be kicking on grass, which is what they normally do not do, and it's a brand new field that it's going to take a little bit for them. Warm-up is going to be critical for each guy. Return-wise, both teams have guys that can return it.
Antonio Gibson for the Pats, Rashid Shaheed
Gibson's
for the
a fabulous return guy. Shaheed is just outstanding. Of course, the 49ers saw that firsthand. And you know with the Saints how he was like. And I think that's going to be important. The two punters,
Dixon for Seattle
he's
is one of the best.
He's an all-pro. Dixon's really, really
and
good.
Behringer for the Patriots is also really good.
Well, was at Michigan State in the weather at Denver, which they will not encounter this time. He was up and down. But the weather was awful. They're not going to encounter that on Sunday. I have no idea if it's going to rain on Sunday, but it's not going to be cold.
It's not going to be snowing sideways. Right. So Steve Jones, the Seahawks, Patriots, Sunday night, Super Bowl. Who do you have winning the game?
Seattle.
Give me a sense of the score. What do you think it's going to be?
24-16, something like that.
24-16.
Right around that area. The game, it'll be a game in the fourth quarter. I think it's going to be a really close game in the fourth quarter. You're going to need to, I just think that playing with the lead in this game is going to be extremely important because of the defenses. If you can play with the lead, because each team has a defense they can lean on, get to the lead and lean on your defense. And I think just Seattle has just a few more pieces to the puzzle. And because they have a couple of more, not a lot more, but a couple of more pieces to the puzzle, that's why I think at this stage they're the better team.
Give me the Seahawks similarly, 27, I think, to 19 is where I'm going with it. I think they do win by a score, plus an extra point at the end. I think my player to watch here, I know I mentioned special teams, but Nicky Manwari for the Seahawks on defense. He's been all over the place. You can kind of put him everywhere, the rookie. And I'm really excited to watch this game. I think it's a really interesting chess match.
To me, Weatherspoon's a corner.
Tavon Weatherspoon.
I think he's a fabulous player for Seattle. I think he's terrific. And I think Jackson Smith and Jigma, to me, could be the guy that ends up being the MVP of the game.
Thank you for listening to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, a 7 Mountain Media production. Come back at 11 every weekday for analysis of the latest happening in the sports landscape, from college football to European soccer